I love this map. This map.
In the bottom right part of the map, we have our purple Protoss player. It is Caesura from Team Swanky.
On the top left, Ohana Ladder Edition. Our teal Zerg player. Swanky's Anti. Right, so rush, please, anti-rush.
Welcome to the beaches. This map was famous for actually being a pretty good two-base Immortal map, if I remember right. I don't know, with the current meta, or rather with the current patch even, whether this would actually be possible on this map or not. I'm assuming yes, but we'll have to see. It depends on what Caesura likes to go for. Again, you see Scrap Station immediately just goes, I guess I'll build flying units. That's not a hard one to deduce. So, like anything flying on that map is a pain. Widow Mine drops would be a pain in the neck. Any drops would be a pain in the neck. Warp Prison DT was the thing that you could do real well there.
Thor drop.
Yeah,
so
Thor drop
walk around across the map. Yeah.
Just building Hellions and driving them across the map would probably work pretty well. You could even float the factory straight into his base.
Yes.
I mean, it is what it is. This map, however, on the other hand, is a lot more thought out. A little bit differences in the way it's structured from some of the maps we've seen today. You'll notice that the natural has a ramp as well. A lot of the maps that we've actually played in this map pool have not had that feature. And it makes defending them a little bit different.
Yep, there's always that back door in there to get into the natural. It's heavily fortified, so that extra path in there is kind of tough to close off.
And it looks like Anticitizen is going kind of his usual setup. And you know what? This, on the one hand, some people might look at this and think, yeah, it's kind of weird that he's just doing the same thing over and over again. Pause, please.
Pause, please.
Paused.
Yeah, anyway, I was about to say, I mean, this is kind of like the same thing that he's been doing all along, but it doesn't really, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Doing what you know is often just the best option from trying something else that you aren't as well acquainted with.
Yep, especially if your opponent knows you. Switch it up. Throw him off.
I do not know what this pause is about. To wait and see. So what are you doing after this?
Me? I'm gonna go find dinner. I am hungry.
Cool.
I have not eaten all day today, so I think we're gonna go out. Thinking something fresh, like Panera. Or, since I did get a pretty sorry doorbell.
But was it really?
But was it really?
Was the doorbell really apologetic?
Sorry doorbell. This is a very sorry doorbell. It better be sorry. Ruining StarCraft. Killing esports.
Well, okay. Game's getting back in gear.
Anti is up to 2 base. He's got 1 gas. Spawning pool complete. Need more link play, I think. Ling's on the way. A mothership core coming out for Case. He's also dropping his 2nd Nexus.
One difficulty about this particular setup on this map is just getting the wall up. For now, kind of open, but you could see as he was building lings already that you could get hit right now and just kind of lose everything. But again, Nancy doesn't do that, so he's pretty safe.
Good guy, Anticitizen. Checking for proxies, his 3rd. Case is holding the watchtower too, so he should see if these things move on across the map. He should know. Yeah, the wall is not priority right now, so...
Yeah. So what do you think about this map?
I like this map. I played a lot of my custom games on this, between family and friends. I think it's great. I kind of like how it's not perfectly square. I like how it's a little longer from top left to bottom right, and it's uneven. It's not perfectly symmetrical. I'm a fan of asymmetry. I wish they had more asymmetric maps. I think Scrap Station looks really cool, but the mechanics are terrible. I mean, aesthetically, it's pretty cool, but yeah, air units kind of ruin the fun for that.
So when you say symmetry, you're talking vertical or horizontal?
Perfectly square, vertical, everything's exactly the same. But, you know, if you look at the base in the top right and the bottom left, I mean, they look, the arrangement of the minerals is the same, but one of them is symmetrical. Maybe I'm speaking out of my butt here.
It's horizontal symmetric, and technically, Scrap Station is actually is symmetric diagonally, which might be part of the reason why the air is so weird. Like, bases being that close together.
Right.
But I see what you're saying. It might be interesting to try something like that. I think the closest we have to that is probably our 3-player maps in the map pool right now.
Which ones in particular?
No, both of them. They're technically asymmetric.
I really like merry-go-round. Those walls that block flying units, things like that. You can't hide out where you can't be scouted. And it would be interesting to see that incorporated in the Scrap Station or something similar with bases so close by air. Have just an air wall. See how much that changes the dynamic. Feelings moving out here. Getting some scouts on. And seeing them better. Wall for case is complete. Working on +1. Trying to get an overlord in there, see what's going on, but he's not going to see too much. Sit back, watch these players macro for a little bit. Anti's going roaches, yeah. Oh.
This is a spectacle that you don't often see in Korean matches, where they go the distance. Let's say they go the distance on a best of 5. The last game is very rarely a macro game. It just doesn't really happen that way.
Yep, the guy that's down 2 in a best of 5 goes, well, it's either throw it all in and win, or throw it all in and lose anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's not... So this is something that you don't get to see a lot if you watch, like, a lot of GSL, and that's pretty cool. Meanwhile, it seems like Case, we got +1 coming out. And 2 gateways. No sign of any tech yet, so you may actually just be going for a 2-base gateway push. Not sure yet. We got to keep watching what he's planning.
Ooh, Case dropping sentries, blocking out the ramp.
So it's just aggression into something. Well, this is pretty strong. You have to be pretty on the ball with your force fields, but as long as you pull that off, you can get a lot of damage down the main base up here. And...
Yep. Stalkers choking down the layer.
And this is incredibly frustrating. I mean, you start losing drones, you might lose your tech, you get a few roaches that pop up there for some minimal defense, and oh, unfortunately, the fire fields were not perfect. Sentries are now getting pulled out. It's coming down to some Warp Prism Micro versus the Sentries. He's going to just, yeah, he's going to pick up and take off. Thing is, actually, units lost here. A couple Sentries, a few Stalkers. Really only for 2 drones and a Queen. Not actually didn't accomplish much from Caesura, and you can even see him acknowledging that right now with a whoops.
Whoops. Gotta let the army back in. The throws.
But
behind that, Anti grabbing a 3rd base, probably wise, considering his opponent is a little bit behind now.
Yeah, even losing those 2 sentries is kind of always frustrating. You don't want to really spend more gas on those things, but after a push like that, you have to be wary of the counter push, especially if you didn't accomplish a whole lot. You know that he's built up a lot of units, and the Zerg is going to want to use them, so that is a possibility.
Those sentries too, 100 gas apiece, extremely expensive.
Bigger problem for Case, though, is that his opponent has now actually started 2-2, and he's still hanging out at +1 attack. So if he doesn't make something happen soon, he could actually just be irreversibly behind. And it looks like the attack is going to go out. It looks like he's not going to wait for +2/+2. Just get out there and start harassing any attempts at a 3rd, maybe.
Kind of timing here. coordinate with the upgrade completion.
No, here comes the... Is he going for the attack? Is he just going to hang out under the... Well, I guess he is going to go straight for it. There's 2 Immortals up there, though, so he doesn't really want to attack into this position with Force Fields in play. This is a few roaches. Not an enormous problem.
Chump change, chump change. Got 3 bases.
Probably it's also helped quite a bit for Caesura that he's got this probe here that's just been sitting up here in this in the middle of the map, being able to just kind of go, look, there's an army coming. You should probably do something about that.
The one at the other watchtower died. I always found it interesting, the watchtower placement on this map. Kind of a tug of war in the center. Even if both of you control one or the other, they don't quite reach. They're coming down from case, dropping both gases. Much pylon. Sitting back on his haunches, making sure he's got sufficient army. He's got 5 Immortals here. That's gonna totally destroy all these roaches.
Yep, he's hit the money comp here with Roche Hydra. This is a very interesting push, though, from Caesura. Basically, he's banking on getting here before the Hydra numbers get too high. Doesn't have any Colossus to help out with that, though, so if that is in fact the case, he doesn't have incredibly wonderful force fields, this army doesn't do so great against this composition.
I mean, if that's the case with Case, then...
Case.
Now, would that be uppercase or lowercase?
Yes.
Okay. I agree. It looks like he's changed his mind. He's kind of hesitating here in the center of the map. Content to reinforce with the Warp Prism. Anti is also throwing his heart out. He's 2 away from, pretty much maxed here. Forward. Army of Caesura. It's going to be a huge engagement.
Okay. Well, yeah. Pretty good force fields, but as you can see, he just doesn't have anything to deal with the Hydra DPS. He's lost his reinforcement, quote-unquote, pylon now. It's being pushed back to the main base. This is not the greatest place for Anticitizen to fight, though. Force field's cutting the entire army in half. There is finally a Colossus out, but it is not really where it wants to be. Hydra starting to continue. Those force fields are really what's keeping Case in this now. If he can build up a couple more Colossus, he's going to be real nicely ahead on the tech.
Very well done right there using that choke point. The force fields. It's extremely difficult for Anti's army to get around there.
Oh, unfortunately for Caesura, though, it looks like Anticitizen is basically saying, you're gonna go Colossus, I'm gonna make you get more, and he's gonna get 10 swarm hosts to aid with this push.
Oh, no.
Here's the frightening thing. +2 attack has just been just been started by Caesura. He's still behind against 2-2. So a full push here is going to actually be pretty hard to hold. He needs to continue to nail those force fields, and as you can see, he's kind of low on those now. He's actually down to 1 sentry. But yeah, it looks like Anticitizen's playing for the long game here. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, he's got Colossus, got plenty of Immortals. He's dropping his 3rd, making sure the gateways are body blocking all of that.
I'm kind of expecting Anticitizen, I think, to do pretty well with this next attack. He needs to wait for the Locust to finish before this is really going to accomplish a lot. Ah, Burrowed Roaches. This is a little risky. He finds that there's detection. He's not reacting fast enough. Loses half of his Roaches. Oof.
Swarm host in position.
Because more Swarm hosts.
Yep.
I don't think Case knows about those yet. He's considering moving out.
He's going to find out in a second.
Well, 4 Colossus means that he actually can deal with this semi-okay. Loses an Immortal for free, which is never a fun proposition. He's going to dive forward and hope he can just straight up kill them right now. And there isn't really a ton of support for that, but since there's so many other units here, he's actually starting to eat away at this army from Case, and if he's not really able to keep digging away at these. Well, yeah, okay, he's gonna get him. Losing those swarm hosts hurts, but Case has a really nice. I'm sorry, Anti has a really nice economy on the back of this, and another wave of reinforcement swarm hosts actually positioned at the back, so he is still more or less okay.
Hydra's pulling out a lot of DPS here, gonna take down those Immortals real fast.
The next wave of attacks really needs that to happen because the Hydras have got no cover. He has just enough, just barely to push this over.
Wow, 5 Colossus.
Wait, where's the detection? Oh, he isn't moving his detection forward, so he's actually stepping in front of the Locust. Which, there isn't enough of them anymore. 5 Colossus, they can just obliterate all the Locusts before they do anything.
5 Colossus.
Now he's just gonna sit on top of the spawn point for those things. And he's actually in the middle of the reinforcement point for a lot of the Zerg's units, and he's just killing them as they come out.
Oh man, this is looking great for Anti.
For just a little bit there. He almost had it. Thing is, now he's actually going for Mutalisks. And if he can get a decent number of these out, he will force Caesura to go home, just because he's got barely any anti-air at all. He's got 1 Storm and a Sentry, effectively, that can do anything right now. Oh, never mind, there's a bunch of Stalkers. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. I didn't see the Stalkers at the back.
And we're watching the slow burning laser death.
Now, pretty much at this point, I'm trying to think to myself if there's really like any situation in which the Zerg manages to come back. And I think it like requires Korean level micro, and for the Protoss to basically not micro their units at all. Just sit back, don't build any reinforcements, just let your money build, maybe even kill off some of your production structures at home. Like, this is not really all that recoverable a position for our Protoss player. Also, maybe if the Zerg had drops or something, or Mutalisks on the other side of the map to give him a reason to split things up incorrectly, but it's not really happening here. Basically, he needs another army.
Essentially, this is way too much here. He's kind of holding on for dear life, dropping a ring of spine crawlers. With every single drone on the line. This pain train does not stop. Dropping the 3rd. And we also have Stalkers in the main, ravaging everything. Economy all but dead.
Even blinking to kill off an Overlord in the back of the 3rd.
1 base left. Hydrogen down. Just gonna make Case work for this. Oh, the Colossus stuck behind the other Colossus. Just kind of doing big here.
So what's your favorite way to deal with players that, you know, they're making you kill all their buildings? How do you like to do it?
Stalker in every corner of the map. Just have a group of Stalkers here, group of Stalkers there. Try to deal on a couple hotkeys.
You do it any differently when you're going against Terran?
Terran, just, you make sure that doesn't happen. Because they can just fly a building to the corner. I've had that happen so many times.
Build flying units of any kind. Left. Oh, left mid-map.
Left
okay.
mid-map. Last base.
He's helping him out.
He's helping him find
I was
the last one.
actually checking to see if he had like a drone hidden somewhere and some like build on the side, but nope, nothing like that. That's it. There we go.
GG.